We're down to verse 17 of 2 Corinthians chapter 4 on this discussion that Paul has been having with us about our endurance, keeping going, and what Christ has done in us. And listen to what he says in the second to the last verse. For this light momentary affliction is preparing for us an eternal weight of glory beyond all comparison. Now, Paul uses extreme language here. Now, he, more than anyone, knew what it was to suffer for the sake of Christ and to keep going. But I want you to notice how he describes it. It's light, it's momentary, it's easy to bear, it's nothing compared to what is to come. You see, the secret of Paul's endurance was not only that the power of Christ would flow through him, but also that he focused his eyes on what was to come. Instead of looking at what was presently in front of him, he looked at what was to come. And notice he says, it's beyond all comparison. When we look at the suffering for Christ of this world and the reward that we have waiting for us in glory, it's not even close. In fact, if we look at the original languages here, beyond all comparison is the Greek word from which we get our word hyperbole. It's almost crazy. It's almost ridiculous. That's what he's saying. When we hyperbolize here in our language, it means we make a comparison that's just ridiculous. It doesn't even make sense. And that's what Paul says. He says, our reward, what Christ has waiting for us in heaven, I'm going to prepare a place for you so that where I am, there you may be also, is so far beyond what we have to suffer here, it's not even in the same conversation. Now, it should be noted that the only kind of suffering that produces this in us, this kind of endurance, is suffering for Christ. Not suffering the weight of the consequences of our bad choices or those kinds of things. But when we orient our lives toward Jesus Christ, when we live in his strength, when our desire is to do his will, whatever occurs, whatever we endure, whatever we push through by the power of God with the light of the glory of the gospel in these jars of clay, it's nothing compared to eternity. And it is, he says, preparing us for eternity. Let's bear in mind today, my friends, as we endure whatever it is that God puts in our path, that he is preparing us for an eternity in his presence.